we're live. The applicant here as well. Mira and Roger. I'll now call to order the Planning Advisory Committee meeting. On January 8th, 2026, we acknowledge that this is a sacred land on which Smith Falls is now located and has been the site of human activity for 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and the water in order that we may meet here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken promises and the need to reconcile with all of our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. I'm Jacqueline Grimes, the chair of the Planning Advisory Committee. I will now take attendance of committee members. Councillor Jay Brennan via phone. Councillor Stephen Robinson.
Present.
Yvonne Robert.
Present.
Mary Remick.
Present.
Okay, can I get an approval of the agenda? Stephen, seconded by Yvonne. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of minutes, Planning Advisory Committee meeting November 13th, 2025. Motion, Stephen, seconded by Yvonne. All in favor? Disclosure of any monetary interests? None? Public meeting, report PAC 26-01, minor variance application MV 25-07, 19 Montague Street. We will now open the public meeting portion of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting to consider minor variance application MV 25-07, 19 Montague Street. The application process proposes to conduct an 8-unit, 2-story residential building with 8 on-site parking spaces. As proposed, there are no shared interior spaces, and each dwelling unit will have a separate outdoor entrance. The proposed dwelling is considered a multiple dwelling as defined by our zoning bylaw, which is permitted in the residential type 2 R2 zone. This meeting is your opportunity to provide any feedback on this application, and the Planning Advisory Committee welcomes any questions and comments you may have. We encourage you to do so at this public meeting, as the Planning Act rules suggest that the public's ability to voice objections later in the process may be limited if a written or oral comment is not submitted. The Planning Advisory Committee is the approval authority for the consent and minor variance applications. The committee will review the application and consider comments from the public to inform their decision on the application. I will now pass the meeting over to Richard Grant, Planner 1, to report on the notification and summary of a minor variance application for 19 Montague Street. Following his presentation, we will open the floor to comments from the public. The applicants or their agents will also have an opportunity to address any concerns brought to the floor by the public.
Okay. In December 2025, the town received the minor variance application requesting relief from sections 7.2.1 and sections 4.28.14. For the development concept, the applicants are proposing 8 units, 2-story residential dwelling with 8 on-site parking spaces. Each unit will have a separate outdoor entrance and there will be no shared interior spaces. Form and massing resemble a 2-story duplex with a peaked gable roof at a height of 8.5 meters high. A single detached dwelling and a rear yard shed would be demolished if the application is approved. A prior concept approved February 9th, 2023 for 2 triplexes, 6 units, with rear yard parking via a shared driveway was never developed for the subject property. The applicants are requesting 8 units, whereas the zoning bylaw allows 4 as of right, and they are requesting a density of 1 unit per 104.3 meters squared, whereas the bylaw requires 200 meters per unit. And they're also requesting a reduction in the parking area location to 1 meters, whereas the bylaw requires a setback of 1.5 meters. Here we can see the site's key map of the subject property in black, And here we can see a site sketch provided by the applicant for the proposed development. And here we can see the proposed elevation of the multi-unit building. And here's their property survey. And here are the site visit photos from December 19th. The purpose of public meetings is to involve the community considering a change to the zoning bylaw standards. Information received and exchange help inform the committee's decision for minor variance applications. Consultation is an integral part of the planning process. So far, no public feedback has been received. We have received feedback from the Department of Public Works and Utilities and also from the chief building official. Notification went out December 18th. The chief building official does not have any objections to the proposal and has no further comments at this time. The Department of Public Works does not object to this proposal. They require, if approved, a stormwater management report, servicing brief, a grading and drainage plan to be provided at the time of building permit submission, and for the stormwater management report to incorporate low impact development techniques, recognizing that there's no storm sewer on Montague Street. So now we'll go through the four tests of the Planning Act. So in the opinion of staff would consider the application to conform to the general intent of the official plan on the basis that it is achieving a form of dental intensification with a duplex-like form of massing, which preserves Montague Street's low to medium density context. With a compact design and efficient land use, the proposed development achieves a lot coverage of 27%, which is below the maximum 35 for the R2 zone. And they are also providing a 3-meter front yard setback, 8 on-site parking stalls, and a 60-meter amenity space, which supports a complete community, which the OP encourages. Considerations for servicing capacity with 8 one-bedroom units will be addressed through a servicing brief. The requested parking setback reduction for 1 meter allows for the 8 parking stalls to be accommodated on the site, which is encouraging for a infill development. And staff recommend that the applicants prepare a landscaping plan or plan with landscaping details outlining the plans that are looking at preserving where possible and planting 2 shade-tolerant trees on the municipal right-of-way. Looking at test number 2, the application conforms to the general intent of the zoning bylaws. The compact building design and duplex-like form and massing reduces the overall building footprint, improves the street presence, and independent of staff, integrates seamlessly with Montague Street's low to medium density character. The proposal achieves a residential density of 1 unit per 104 meters squared while maintaining a lot coverage of 27% and a height of 8.5 meters and the standard yard setbacks, meaning that none of the setbacks have been reduced, so the front yard and rear yard are still intact, and the 60-meter amenity space which provides space for the resident to use and is an example of the site not being overdeveloped but being an efficient use of space for the large lots. Looking at the parking lot reduction, it accommodates a functional parking circulation and retains space for landscaping and also snow storage. Any anticipated concerns related to grading and drainage will be addressed through the grading and drainage plan. Staff are of the opinion that the application is desirable based on the form of development being created as a dental intensification with a form massing that preserves the neighborhood character, supporting a complete neighborhood. In terms of it being minor in nature and impact, staff are of the view that it is minor because the desired intensification maintains adequate on-site circulation for 8 parking stalls, and the parking lot reduction is minor in impact. Staff recommend that the applicants provide a 1 meter high fence along the interior and rear lot lines, and a stormwater management report, servicing brief, and grading and drainage plan would be required by Public Works to confirm servicing capacity and stormwater management. And here are just the conditions outlined. And that's it.
Thank you, Richard. We will now hear from the applicants for any additional information or presentation as it relates to the application. Can they hear?
Ready to go, Mira?
Yes, you can hear me.
Try again.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect.
Over to you, whenever you're ready.
Bottom to the screen.
Okay. Can you see the presentation?
No, I can't even see them.
No. Are you logged in?
Oh, there we go.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
There. Now we can see it.
All right.
Great. I'm Miriam Reed, junior planner on this file, and with me is Rosalind Hill, principal architect and senior urban planner. Thank you for letting us talk about our minor variance application for 19 Montague today.
Sorry, Mira, just before you continue, could I trouble you to unmute on Zoom also, please?
Is that better?
Should be good to go. Yes, thank you.
This is the subject property. Currently, there is one rental unit in a detached home and a lot of open, underutilized space on the other part of the lot. This is the immediate vicinity of the property on Montague. So there are several examples on the street that have very similar form and massing to the development that we will be proposing. So this is a two-story semi that has a very similar kind of building width. And across the street also is buildings with architectural features like these nice porches and peaked roofs. Over here is another semi with those generous porches, lots of windows, and peaked roofs on either side. This semi or multi-unit building also has quite a bit of frontage on the street, and across from it is a two-story multi-unit building. And north of the subject property is another two-story semi with, again, those nice porches in the front and windows. In comparison, this is our proposed development. So we've got those generous front porches leading to dedicated entrances into units and those peaked roofs on either side. So this is an 8-unit residential building, but really designed to look like a two-story semi or a duplex from the street. Worth noting that these units are intended to be affordable or they will be affordable and intended for senior residents. So inside the building, units are designed for aging in place, with 2 of them being fully accessible units. On the site plan, you can see that this is our parking layout. So we've got 5 along the side and 3 in the back. We're providing 1-to-1 parking ratio. This is where the 60 square meters of amenity is being provided. That also will double as snow storage in the winter. We've also got some bike parking spaces and garbage storage accessible by the functional paths of travel. So in order for this project to proceed, we require minor variances for the maximum number of units, densities, and setback between parking and a lot line. For this kind of affordable project to be viable, we really need those extra units. So that's where the 8 is coming from. These units will be an added benefit to the community, providing diversity in what is available with aging in place and affordability. So these would be ideal for kind of senior person or a couple looking to downsize their home and age in place, especially if they have some accessibility needs. For the setback from the parking area to the lot line, that's really just for this rear area here. We're meeting the requirement on the side, but getting that extra space in the back gives us enough room to have 5 parking spaces here, reaching the 1-to-1 parking requirement. And the 1 meter here also allows us to have a little hammerhead here that really enhances the ease of movement and vehicular traffic in this rear parking area. We don't foresee any concerns related to landscaping or snow storage because we've got a lot down here. This is a vacant lot currently, so they wouldn't be impacted, but should this lot become developed, we will be providing a fence along the rear yard and the interior yard to mitigate any impacts on neighbors. So Richard already went over the 4 tests, but so I'll try to talk about things that he didn't discuss. But the proposal for an increase in units and density is minor as it doesn't impact the outside look of the building. It's massing and form that's designed to really fit in with the surrounding context of the street, look like a 2-story semi or a duplex. It is desirable and appropriate in this neighborhood for affordable units that are intended for seniors. The proposal is in keeping with the purpose and intent of the zoning bylaw for appropriate massing, built form, and setbacks, and for new buildings to fit in with their surrounding context. And the proposal is in keeping with the purpose and intent of the official plan for new housing growth to include appropriate dwelling mix, particularly with regard to affordable housing and housing intended for seniors. And with regards to the setback between the parking area and a lot line, the 0.5 meter reduction is minor, not very visible from the naked eye, and will also be concealed from other properties by a fence and won't result in any negative impacts on vehicular movement or neighboring lots. The proposal is appropriate and desirable for this neighborhood because it allows us to meet parking need on site. There were concerns that if we didn't provide a dedicated parking space for every unit, it would result in people parking on the street, which was not a desirable outcome. So with this variance, we can have every unit have its own dedicated parking space and not impact the neighbors. This proposal is in keeping with the purpose and intent of the zoning bylaw to achieve a 1-to-1 parking ratio and also ensure the functional and safe movement of vehicles with that hammerhead or bump out in the back so that that last parking space can turn around a lot easier. And the proposal is in keeping with the purpose and intent of the official plan with regards to direction for adequate landscaping and snow storage provided on intensification sites. So that's 60 square meters in the back is landscaped area for amenity in the summer and snow storage in the winter. And that's everything for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak on that? Oh, there we are.
Hello.
Any other comments, or is that everybody? Okay, thank you. We will now hear from members of the public who wish to speak. All comments and questions need to be addressed through the chair. Please be advised that verbal comments form part of the public record, and as such, we ask that you please state your name and address before providing verbal comment. Any members of the public who wish to speak to this application are asked to approach the podium one at a time.
Okay, I don't know if this pertains to this.
Sorry,
not-
can you state your name?
Sorry, Barry
Can you
Stanton.
state your name?
Barry
Barry,
Stanton.
thank you.
27 Montague. So the derelict building on the left-hand side of this new property, is it being, anything being done with it, or that's irrelevant?
I'm not sure. Richard, do you have any
Can you
comments?
restate your question, sorry?
The
The
neighboring
derelict
property.
building that's beside, that's all boarded up,
Right?
is there anything being done with it as far as this property goes?
No, that property wouldn't be related to the development separate. It's only relating to 19
Okay.
Montague.
So this is going to stay boarded up?
That's not related to what's going on for this
Okay.
property, so we will.
So this fence that goes down this side, is that a wooden fence? As in the picture?
Proposed, yes.
Okay. That was my only question was if you know what was going on with that. There you go. Okay, perfect, thank you.
So Richard, just to clarify, there was a comment about the fence.
There was
Is
comments
part-
about the property adjacent to the 19 Montague, what was happening with that, and that was unrelated to the development.
Right, it's not part of this application.
Yep.
But the fence.
And then there was a second comment about the fence. That's part of the application, correct?
Right, the fence is proposed, the fence will be as is. I'm not quite sure what the question is though, about the fence.
Is there a new fence, is the question, is there a new fence or a bigger fence or a fence?
No, whether it was a chain link or a wooden fence.
Chain link or wooden?
Proposed to be wooden, but it's up to the applicant, they just need to provide a fence.
Does the applicant want to comment to that question?
Could you repeat the question?
Did you hear the question, Mira, about the fence?
Can you repeat the question, please?
What's the material of the
I can't
fence?
hear you.
Just what the material of the fence was.
It's proposed to be wood board fence.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. I will now ask if there's any questions or comments from committee members. Sorry.
I might just as well ask something. I'm pretty sure I've got this all figured out anyway, but the 104 square meters,
Right,
that equates to approximately 1,100 square feet per unit. So that's really not bad for a one-bedroom. Okay? No, I think it's 1,100 square feet.
you did the conversion, I guess, from 104 meters.
You can ask.
No, it's not a big deal.
Okay,
But that's what my calculations were, and I'm pretty sure that's close to being correct. I think that's great for a one-bedroom apartment, and the way this is designed is quite unique to me, and I hope that the elevation concept would be the exact same as what is, or it's very similar to what actually gets built, because I'm quite impressed with that. Anyway, that's all I got to say.
Great, thank you. Any other, beyond?
Yeah, I calculated it out to about 800 square feet because I thought about the stairways. That's the only, I think the difference.
Okay.
Between your thought and my thought.
Okay.
Also, I like the intensification only because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build more residential units. The provinces, that's part of their policies, so I have no issue with that.
Yeah, Mary?
So, yes, I will speak loudly, hopefully you can hear me. Anyway, so for you, Richard,
yeah.
I pulled up the February 9th, 2023 report regarding this. Now, back in February 2023, the proposal was to split the property in two and have 3 units per lot. At that time, staff couldn't support that high of density based on the planning policies and the OP. So my question to you is, what in policy has changed, or what is being interpreted differently to be able to support a higher density than those 6 units 2 years ago?
Right, so.
3 years ago.
So if I recall, with 3 units, so what it was is that the density per lot was split in half because we're looking at 2 lots instead of 1. And for 3 units, the density was 71 or 72 roughly for a unit. And it looks at 98, so the density is much higher. But we're looking at 1 bedrooms instead of 2. So with the condition that they're looking at 1 bedroom per unit, looking at a form-based approach, we're looking at trying to maximize the amount of units without creating an issue of overbuilding. So if they didn't have the form massing like a duplex, but had the same number of units, I would consider it to be overdeveloped based on the number of units, and just form and massing would be different. So if it didn't look like a duplex and you're having, say, multiple bedroom units instead of 1 single bedroom unit per unit, it'd be much different. So it's a different building, it's a different concept, And it's a slightly different interpretation that's a lot more flexible because it allows us to achieve our density targets without being very strict. Because if we were looking at a strict application of the OP policy, we could say that they would have 4 as of right and they could have 2 bedrooms, so you could have multiple people living there, but it would have a low density and it wouldn't be as effective use of the land, in my opinion, based on what's there now and what they're proposing.
So may I just
Go
want to
ahead.
make sure that I understand correctly. So what I'm hearing is that even though the density calculation is showing a much higher density 3 years later with this application, the actual built form fits better in the community than the built form that was being presented 3 years ago.
Exactly.
Jay, do you have any questions?
No, just, can you hear me?
Yes?
Okay, just a comment that I support the staff recommendation, and I think I'm really impressed with the design, and I'm really happy to hear affordable and seniors in the same sentence. So I know a lot of seniors are down, so I think it's great, and this is excellent, and it's going to enhance the neighborhood, so I support it.
The committee is tasked with deciding on this application. If the committee is ready to do so, I will now entertain a motion to approve, not approve, or any other decision.
I'll move it.
As described in the package, Jay?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to read a motion to approve variances to section 7.2.1, table 7-2, and 4.28-14 parking lot location to allow the requested reliefs up to the subject to the following conditions 1 through 6. So that's moved by Jay, seconded by Stephen. All in favor? Carried. Thank you for attending and participating in the planning process for minor variance application for 19 Montague Street. Anyone requiring further notice regarding this application is asked to leave their name, their full name and mailing address or email address on the sign-in sheet located at the table by the door. Contact Planner 1 or the planning clerk via email or phone found on the town website. Appeal rights as prescribed by the Planning Act will be outlined in the notice of decision. If you have any questions on the application or the process, I invite you to contact Planner 1 or the planning clerk. This concludes the public meeting portion of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting. We will now move on to the next item on our agenda.
Thank you. Thanks, Mary.
Thank you very much.
Priority issues? Any priority issues? Project updates. Roundtable. We want to talk about filling the space or filling Stephen's
We wanted to
space.
announce that we are looking for committee members.
Okay, so we are looking for committee members. Anyone can apply through
Clerk's office.
the clerk's office. Okay. All right. Next meeting is Thursday, February 12th, 2026. And adjournment, motion to adjourn. Yvonne, second. You can get in there, Stephen. Thank you.
Okay, I'll just let Tech know we're done.